how much, how many conferences or scientific papers or research can be unlocked or referenced. And then obviously there's the qualitative, so just following up with our users and asking them how things are going. And so there's definitely no one size fits all, but it's always evaluating what we have heuristics over and making sure that we understand where we add the most impact.
If you were trying to get survey feedback on any experiences you deliver, do you think you can get that?
It's not about even the dashboard that we serve. What's important to our end users is, are they being able to make the most informed and best decisions that improve the health and outcome of the ocean and of people?
Welcome to UX Stories. I'm your host, Nihong Hickam. I've spent my career obsessed with how we understand what users actually think. When Chris and I helped build usertesting.com, we thought we had it figured out. But AI has changed everything. The speed of building is now 10 times the speed of listening. So Chris and I built, they said, we want to use vibe testing to match the speed of vibe coding. I'm here to talk to visionary leaders who want to deliver great experiences to their customers. My guest today is Dan Breyer, head of product at Sulfur Ocean. Dan's career reads like a history of modern internet. He was at Amazon and then Apple in the formative years, and then led product as ZW Player during the video explosion. Today, he's taking all that big tech vision, wisdom, and applying to the world's most critical data set, the ocean. We know very little about the ocean than we know about the space. Then I am an obsessed learner of the people. I always want to know what the people is thinking, what we are building for the people. You've been at the table for some of the biggest US ships in history. What is the one fundamental truth about human behavior that you learn at Amazon or Apple that you still carry with you at Sulfur Ocean today?
Yeah, and first of all, I want to thank you for inviting me here. It's a real pleasure to talk to you and to your audience today. Yeah, the biggest lesson that I really keep with me when I think of users is really ensuring that I and the team understand the why behind the user, why they're trying to do something, and what is their end goal. Oftentimes, the products that we develop or that we ship or that they purchase and use isn't the actual goal. It's a means to get to an end or to an end state, and making sure that whatever and however they want to get there, we can assist. That's really where we shine and what I'd really try and keep top of mind, whatever I'm doing.
That's interesting. I think today, we are moving product so fast. Sometimes we could forget like why we are building it, for what purpose. We just build and build. Just to help our audience understand, tell me a little about the product you're currently building and what kind of audience you're building for.
Absolutely. So at So Far, we build basically ocean intelligence, and we do that in two ways. One, we have a hardware product that actually gets deployed in the ocean. They're cute little buoys that you can deploy from either a small thing as from a kayak all the way to a plane, and they drift and they collect data. But the data that comes out of there is what I would consider to be really the product. And there's a user interface where scientists and engineers and local government officials can look at this and make decisions about the weather and the ocean health that informs policy and decision making. And so when I think about, the why, it's really not about the hardware. It's not about even the dashboard that we serve. What's important to our end users is, are they being able to make the most informed and best decisions that improve the health and outcome of the ocean and of people?
That's very interesting. So you consider the data is your product and your users is like scientists, the people who need to use this data. So your user base is rather intelligent compared to the other product that you have built. And then the why is like, can they use the data that you produce to make impactful decisions? That's I guess, given this is like you have this very clear. How are there any like how do you know you have successfully delivered this? Like it's kind of very it's hard to know like did they do it? Is it by how much they use the data or is it how they tell you? Because sometimes using the data more often doesn't necessarily mean they have successfully use the data? Maybe because the data is too confusing, so they had to look at the data more often. Like, how do you measure that your product really achieve the why, the value that intended for the user? How do you know you have succeeded?
Yeah, that's a great question. And to be honest, I spend most of my time and very many restless nights trying to figure that out because it is really easy to fall into some of the traps you just described. We want to move so quickly. And because in product, we sit at that intersection of users, technology, and business. We want to optimize for what we think are business outcomes. What is how many units have I sold? What is the click rate? Did I increase the stickiness of my application? And we use those as proxies, and they're good measuring sticks for certain things, but definitely don't tell you whether or not you've achieved the goal that you want. And you said something earlier, which I definitely relate to, which is slowing down to really understand our core users and the time frame it takes for that to develop. We may release a feature or an application or a change that won't manifest a change for our users for 6 months to a year. We're talking long time scales when we talk about the ocean. And so ensuring that we have measurements for that of not just daily active users, but how many policies reference the data sets that we actually and got publications for. How many return users did we have from one deployment season to another? How many conferences or scientific papers or research can be unlocked or referenced? And then obviously there's the qualitative, so just following up with our users and asking them how things are going. And so there's definitely no one size fits all, but it's
Mhm.
always evaluating what we have heuristics over and making sure that we understand where we add the most impact.
Yeah, so it's like a mix of different way to gather feedback from your users, qualitative, quantitative, to make sure that, you actually deliver the value for your users. Okay,
Exactly.
that's great. Can you walk me through like what is the organization of a product team like yours look like? I know in a software company, the organization of a product team completely changed with the trend of vibe coding. I don't know if you hear the talk of the CEO of Microsoft. They combine the front end engineer, back end engineer, a product manager, a designer, and merge these four roles into one role. We call them the product builder. Just one product builder, just vibe code and just do very fast. And I've talked to a lot of these vibe coders, which a lot of times stop doing usability testing because they previously they think if they do usability testing, the job is to protect engineering time. So now engineering time with vibe coding is not needed to protect it. So if they guess wrong, they would just rip it apart and build it again. So there's one group, like I typically see young product builders think this way. There's a little bit older generation like us. We were thinking, oh, hold on a second. Engineering time doesn't need to be protected. Sure, maybe still need to protect. But what about the customer's experiences? That still need to be protected. That still need to be tested. Instead of not testing, we just need to be test faster, right? To still make sure we deliver quality experiences for the customers. So I just wanted to know, like, from you have hardware, software, like, dealing with scientists, the ocean. In your organization, has the org been impacted with this craziness of vibe coding? And how do you navigate all this change?
Yeah. It's a very interesting and dynamic landscape, changing all the time. And there's certainly the flavors of the week, month, and it seems sometimes a little bit overwhelming, to be honest. I do think that while people are really excited and attracted to vibe coding and agentic and AI based tools and solutions, it's really important for me and for my teams to remember that just like anything else, this is a tool, a really powerful tool that serves a very discrete purpose. And it's up to us to determine when to use that tool and what purpose we're using it for. And so when I look at, people that say vibe coding is going to solve everything end to end and we just feed it and it happens, that concerns me because you haven't given parameters or a chance for it to succeed. It's going to optimize around something that maybe wasn't the right why. Instead, I myself and my teams to say, how can we use these things to increase our understanding and our velocity for that understanding without increasing our opportunity cost or loss, right? So that and that's in typical development, that's often the trade. It's we test something because we don't want to risk spending more resource to build something wrong. We want to make sure that we're delivering the right value. And we can do the same thing with vibe coding with these tools. It's just making sure that they're focused in those ways. And, here so far, we haven't reorged ourselves in order to match that. It's more just ensuring that we understand that usage. And I can give some examples of how we're doing this in ways that I think have been really impactful, but have also been more complementary to how we've done things.
Yeah,
So,
please. Yeah,
yeah,
this is I'm digging in. This is
yeah.
exciting. Yeah.
So it's really tempting to use it in order to build a ton of different UIs and ton of different scenarios and to get those in front of customers and to optimize and have them run through those things and say, should we put buttons here or here? A/B test them almost like multi-arm bandit style. And it's really enticing because you can do that so quickly. But if the outcome of the test is just to see whether someone got from the start to the end of the funnel as quickly as possible, we did not, that was an improper test, or the outcome did not match to the why of what we wanted our end users to do. But instead what we can do is we can use that in order to have more curated, deeper type discussions with our user base and say, hey, let's build out what a different application to solve your problem could look like and get your feedback on it in a longer discovery session. Or because a lot of our customers are a finite group, there's only so many researchers or scientists out there, and there's not a ton of public information around some of the work that's being done. I can turn some of this tooling in order to act as, you know, a aggregator of our own knowledge. Can I use it to scrape and aggregate all the calls and discussions we've ever had with scientists and end users over the last couple of years and formulate some like strongly held opinions that we then can test against, right? And so it multiplies our ability to search and aggregate and become knowledgeable. And the last one that I particularly like is around analysis, right? Like finding those rote tasks that by, automating, we become more efficient and ask better questions. So feeding it stuff like historicals and usage data, if I just asked it, tell me something smart about my last 3 years of revenue,
Mm.
I probably won't get the result that actually is impactful. But if I can craft the analysis to match what is the things that I'm searching for, like what are my sources of revenue, which ones are growing or decreasing based on market size, how are users changing how they're using the actual tool depending upon what device they're doing, what are the trends anthropogenically over time. Those are the things that will accelerate our ability to understand and build the next stuff, but it
Mm.
still takes that time and focus of what do I want to use this tool for and how do I want to guide.
I see. So you're saying using like machine learning or large data processing to process what users say over a period of time and using that data to understand. That's really unique. But I would have some concern where like things change over time. Like what users say 3 years ago might not be relevant now. And also I would think I can't really take what customers say for granted because they could say something, but I can't really trust what they say. I had to really observe their behavior.
Yeah.
As a researcher, I was just like, they would oftentimes say, yeah, this is great. And then I'm like, no, I'm watching you. You're not using it. So,
You're totally right. And there's kind of two things that I think are really interesting when we talk about the speed of technology. There's how quickly we can develop and do things and how that unlocks stuff for us, but also how does it change our customers? Their expectation and the way in which they consume information is changing rapidly as well. And
yeah.
so I see this a lot when, you've said from years to now, probably customers have changed. That speed is also accelerating. So many people are generating, the same isometric three-dimensional view of their product that all look the same no matter what tool you use. Our customers
Exactly.
are starting to be like, all right, this is too much. People are generating so much content and so much stuff that all looks kind of similar. They're starting to, get glazed over and kind of a little bit, it's a little bit hard for them to start to really connect to it. And authenticity really matters, especially for our audience.
Yeah.
Credibility and authenticity. And to your second point, absolutely. The When we turn loose a lot of our LLMs on internal systems, a lot of that is just to get initial signal of what is perceived value, then we can dig into what is actual value.
Well, I think that's right, but I think there's huge value in observing what users do rather than just listen to what they say. Just, you come from Amazon. I'll give you a simple example, right? I was recently watching a video of another e-commerce site and they try to,
Mhm.
improve their navigation of finding souvenirs, and they want to ask the users, how do they find this product? Is it by color? Is it by size, by budget? It's like this is stupid. Like nobody would do it like today. Like I'll just go to ChatGPT, say, "Hey, I want to find this product and this budget, this color, boom," and then you just give me those things, right? I'm not gonna stupidly and filter and do this. It's like the users change, and I think you gotta adapt to how users' behavior changes. Like it can't be like doing the same thing over and over. I think the technology need to match where users are today. So usability testing now is like maybe in the future the user is an LLM, is an agent that's searching information on your website. And then maybe now in intermediate is a human that uses the agent. So I think if we just think or take the customer's word for it is, it's very dangerous. You're gonna build in a cave again. So, I mean, in your field where you have the hardware, software world, it's becoming very delicate. You don't have time to kind of observe your users all the time. You might have some time to talk to them and recordings, and you don't have enough data. You have to listen to data like 3 years ago. That present even more lagging data to use 3 years old information to predict the future. Like 3 year in technology world is like a ancient time. That's pre ChatGPT time, right? That's like, oh,
Yeah.
so that was like, okay, so like looking back, like if you, how do if you, I guess the power of usability testing is that before you release a product out there or experiences out there, before you generate any bad experience, you have a period of time with real human or a potential customer to see how they interact with the experience you are about to release. Do they get value? How do they interact with it? Not just take their word for it, but observe their behavior for it. Do you see there's a value for something like this in the busy world of today?
Absolutely. And I would argue that while there are so many existing and newly developed tools to harvest a lot of information and processing, you're absolutely right that until you see someone actually interacting with your product and connect that to how well they are at achieving their goal, there will always be a gap or a delta. So much is learned from just observation. And I have the benefit of coming from and being in a hardware-based world
Mm.
where even just watching someone physically interact with a piece of equipment that's supposed to be invisible, right? It's going in the ocean. You'll never see it again. But we learn so much just from those small moments of seeing what they touch, what they look at, what they spend time on. And all of that is incredibly rich to us. There's a One of my favorite lessons I ever learned early on in product management was the difference between what is a requirement on a piece of paper and what does it mean to a customer. And it deals with this. It's We were designing something and I had rated in my requirement that it had to weigh, I think it was something like 14 pounds. But I never stopped to really internalize what that was beyond it just saying, hey, this is a 20% reduction in weight than what it was in the prior generation. Customers will love this and will go on. And I never stopped to really go to customers and watch them carry something that is, 14 pounds, carrying it all day, moving it around from place to place. It doesn't matter if it's 20% lighter, that's still heavy. That's still
Right.
hard. And that's not what their job is. They're not there to move stuff. It's not a gym. And
Right.
so it wasn't until I connected, oh, they're using this to achieve a different goal. I'm actually making it harder for them. And I would never have gotten that. you know, if I just kept it on that piece of paper, if I didn't go out and watch the folks and actually myself create that empathy by trying to move that object. And I really resonate with what you're saying, where if we don't take the time to see our customers in their space, in their element, doing what they're trying to do with our products, we're really going to miss the mark.
Yeah, totally. I have another guest on the show. He went out of the way to create a torture room where it's like a one-way mirror where they just invite customer in to interact with the product, even the website, the page, the pricing page. And then every day the room is booked with executives, PMs, designers watching their customers interact. And it was so painful to watch. And they nicknamed the room torture room, and 2 weeks later, he couldn't find a seat in the room because it's completely booked out, and the executive will commute an hour to see that room. So it was like a huge hit, like an eye-opening for the organization. But you hit a point where, like, we need to take time to do this. So we all agree this is valuable, but in today's world, we don't have time, right? So how do we and doing it without is not an option. So how do we do it, but do it in a fast time? Like do it regularly. Like because oftentimes people will say, we'll do it when we have time. When we do it, we will as needed on a big project, not every project, not every experiences. So how do we it would if I have a magical wand, I would do it with every experiences I launch regularly, like a not like a one-off, ongoing observation. That would be ideal. So, are you in your team, are you guys doing observations, usability testing? Do you do that or not?
I share your dream to have a magic wand to do it for everything. We do usability testing, but not as much as I would love, similarly, because it is hard and it's time consuming. And I think the challenge for modern day PMs is ensuring that you can retain the structure of that spacing and ability to do that testing. And you can demonstrate that value. Twitch Room is a great way to do that. And I think the thing that is important to do, because you can't test every single feature, that would take too long and definitely wouldn't fit into the business plans. It's to, again, use your, as user centric folks, combine what are the things, the discrete tests that you want to run into something that's a more holistic arc and saying, okay, like we already know what our user journey is. We want to cherry pick these different things and put them together into a very concentrated effort. And that is worth spending that amount of time for. And that's what we do here is it's not, it's ensuring that because we're working on so many things, can we combine them to ensure that we're having the actual outcome that we want? And that is worth spending the time on, right? As opposed to every single feature, we need to have some level of validation.
So, let me ask you a question. If you were trying to get survey feedback on every experiences you deliver, do you think you get that?
Like, could we get it from our customer base?
Yeah. Or like anyone, any people that like your
Survey data is interesting because there's kind of a selection
I'm just
bias.
saying, like, if
Oh,
you
yeah.
just if don't let's forget about survey quality. Just saying,
Yeah.
you wanna get survey data of the important features you ship. Can you get
We can get it. I don't know if I would trust it.
so I'm telling you, we can give you the observation usability testing data, like the survey. So that's what we are doing at DaySet is getting you the at scale qualitative feedback of observation
Yeah.
as easy as a survey. So I'm not sure if we can do the handheld device thing, but anything software, we can do it today. So cool. That's great. This is a very, insightful, elephant in the room discussion we all wish we have. Let's go into the kind of a rapid fire questions.
Sure.
What's your, in your toolkit in terms of feedback, in terms of like surveys, interviews, or usability testing?
I personally rely heavily on discovery interviews. If I can talk to someone, great, but even more so, can I visit them in their space? I wanna see where they're doing what they're doing.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. But quality is good. So you
Mhm.
focus on quality. That's great. If you would have a magical wand to make gathering human insight, understanding your user dramatically easy, what would you want that to be?
Doing exactly what described, but having hundreds, if not thousands of me doing that. So,
Okay. Duplicate
um,
of that. Okay. We could potentially do that probably in Q3, but it depends on how much you ship. If you're shipping more of a software, we can do it today. If you wanted if you want hardware software, that's probably Q3. But
as I said when we started, as much as I love our hardware, no one buys it because they want it or they need it. Our end product and our end value is the data. And so absolutely, I would love to do the
oh,
analysis for people
okay.
using the data.
Okay, so that maybe we could help you. Okay, it's not the fiction story. It's possible. Okay, good. All right, maybe we can connect later or
Sure.
show you how we can make that possible. Anyway, then last question for us to
Mhm.
wrap up the episode. So what is the most fulfilling thing about being a PN here at doing being a PN doing, discovering the ocean?
I think the most fulfilling thing is our customers, the people we interact with are diverse and incredible. And so being able to even just slightly help them along with what they're doing is truly, incredibly fulfilling, whether it's sea turtle research or, reducing the impact of typhoons. It's just the work they do is passionate and inspiring, and the fact that I can help them along on that journey just even a little bit is all I need.
It was great. Your world is like a magical world, ocean. I hope one day maybe I can reborn as a marine scientist and it would be great.
Yeah.
Anyway, Dan, thank you for showing us that whether you are buying a book or navigating an ocean, the human at the end, on the end is what matters. And for those who are listening, if you're ready to start Vibe user testing your product at the speed you code, visit us at theysaid.io. I'm Lee Hong Hicken, and this is UX Stories. I'll see you at the next episode.